Hey, and happy Saturday to everyone. I'm Trenda Hackett, your Web CPA, and I'm with the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic, where our number one priority is your tax health. And from time to time, as I told you, I'm going to keep coming to you, especially with the new tax relief package that has been passed or signed into law by the president. And while you're spending your Saturday evening probably at the house trying to figure out something to keep you busy or maybe taking a walk outside, I'm spending my Saturday evening reading what I call, or what the law calls, the CARES Act. The CARES Act. CARES, the CARES Act. And you may ask, what does that mean? I'm so glad you asked. The CARES, CARES, is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. So guess what? You just learned something new. So if you see the CARES Act, you should know what that stands for. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. So I wanted to come on here. I've been very busy in the clinic. Just have a heart for just making sure that you are in the know. I don't know everything, but I do know where to find some answers at. And as I get answers and as you're asking your questions, and thank you all so much for reviewing the live video from yesterday, which was a little bit extensive. There's a lot of information in that video. And I would encourage you to go back and take the time to watch it. And if you have any questions on that particular video, please feel free to put it in your comments. We're answering your questions. We're trying to get to them as soon as you ask them. We're watching the feed or we're watching the comments. And you probably have some questions that somebody else may have asked. Go back and look at the comments on that live video and look at the replies to it. I know today somebody came in and asked the question about if they had already been cut off unemployment like a week before the coronavirus happened. Can they then go back and file an extension to get some extra money? And you go back and check that video, check the response that I had to that, and that'll answer that question. But I want to encourage you to ask your questions, share these videos with anybody else that you know might need the information. We just want to help keep you in the know. So for today, I wanted to focus on the provisions in the CARES Act for mainly focus on self-employed individuals and small or just nonprofits and small businesses. Now you may ask, what's the difference between a small business and a self-employed individual? And for purposes of this video, or what we're going to be talking about here today, a self-employed individual or an independent contractor, that is an individual that they're the only owner in a business. They don't have any employees. So when I'm talking about a small business, I'm saying that this is it's small in terms of maybe its assets and the income that it brings in and whether or not it has employees. So when I'm saying small businesses, or if I say anything that reference a small business, I'm particularly normally talking about a business that has employees for purposes of the CARES Act, because there was a lot of provisions in there for small businesses as it relates to employees. Also, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. I'm trying to cut this information up in little pieces so that you can digest it better. So let's talk about what's in the act for self-employed individuals, independent contractors, and those with a limited work history. Those people or businesses that doesn't normally get unemployment, because we know unemployment is normally for an individual that has worked a job. But there's a provision that where you can file for unemployment if you are self-employed. You're a self-employed individual, meaning that, you work for yourself. You could be a realtor. You could be a coach, an online coach, or have your own coaching business, or have your own tax business. You can have your own maybe insurance business or any type of personal service, a small business where you like your own salon, you hair care, nail care, any type of business where you provide a personal service. And as a result of the coronavirus, that you're not able to even provide that service due to the shutdown, the shelter in place orders in various cities and countries, across our nation. So there is something in the act called the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And this provision, I'm going to be reading some things here. I've taken some notes. This provision creates a temporary pandemic unemployment assistance program through December the 31st, 2020, to provide payment to those that are not traditionally eligible for unemployment benefits. And that includes self-employed individuals, independent contractors, and those with a limited work history, and others who are unable to work as a result of the coronavirus. Now, you may ask the question, well, how do I apply for the benefits? It depends on your state. Unemployment benefits, you apply for those through your state. And guess what? If you go up my feed from today, I didn't come live, but I made a post where I gave you a link to where you can select your state, and it will give you the links and the information on how to apply for unemployment benefits according to your state. For example, I'll choose the state of Texas because that's a huge state. Once you put the state of Texas in, and you go to Texas Workforce Commission for the state of Texas, and you're going to see on there that when you apply, they're going to ask you questions. Are you a self-employed individual? And just keep in mind, if you're a self-employed individual, they're going to ask you information for, just kind of like your business history or your earnings or, amounts that you would have made kind of before the coronavirus. And a lot of the effective dates for the CARES Act, I won't say this definitively, but a lot of this is starting. The start date is as of January 27th, 2020. And a lot of this is going to go to December 31st, 2020. So self-employed individuals, if you've been impacted, you haven't been able to get business because of the coronavirus, file for unemployment with your state. Go up our webpage, our live feed, where I made a post. It wasn't a live feed today, or wasn't a live video today. I made a post today. Go and find the post where I said, hey, if you want to know how to contact file unemployment for your particular state, here is the link. So follow those links. Do your due diligence while you have time. This is your homework at home while you have time. So take the time. If you're a self-employed individual or an independent contractor, it's the same. Independent contractor and a self-employed person is no different. So you can file for unemployment. There's provision in the CARES Act for you. Okay, so a lot of other things I wanted to talk about was you may be a nonprofit organization. And I talked about this in my live video on yesterday, and we have put together a list. So we have combed the CARES Act. So as I mentioned on yesterday, a lot of these federal agencies got so much money. Now, what does that mean for you as a nonprofit? So follow me here. So just imagine the federal agencies got the money. So for example, I'm going to look on this list I have. I see here where the Department of Human Services, they were awarded $3.5 billion. And it's for the Child Care and Development Block Grant. And here's the description. They've been awarded $3.5 billion in grants to states. So this is a federal agency that's been awarded $3.5 billion in grants to give to states for immediate assistance to child care providers to prevent them from going out of business and to otherwise support child care for families, including for healthcare workers, first responders, and others that are playing a critical role during this crisis. So what does that mean for you maybe as a nonprofit? So the federal agency was awarded the money to give to the states. And then what happens is the state will then reach out to what they call their community partners and award monies to those organizations to fulfill the role, for the purpose for which the funds were awarded to them by the federal government. Now, and that thing can go down farther. So you have the state, they reach out to their community partners or their local partners. Then you have the local partners, they may want to reach out to, guess what? The small and private nonprofits to help to meet the need, fulfill the needs of our communities, especially in the area of child care during the time of the coronavirus. So what does that mean for you as a small nonprofit? You have some homework to do while you have time. And what we have done, we have combed the CARES Act, put together a list. A lot of every federal agency got money, but it wasn't for the specific purpose of like community development. Some of the money was awarded to federal agencies to pay overtime for their employees' salaries. So guess what? We've gotten all that out the way. So we have compiled a list. This list is not all inclusive, but we have gone through the CARES Act. That's what I've spent my time on this Saturday doing, combing through the CARES Act. And I only pulled out those things, those fundings that were for community development purposes, like your child and nutrition programs, child welfare programs, Department of Education. They got funding for, elementary and secondary education, higher education. There's a lot of funding for telemental health services for isolated veterans, and the Department of Veteran Affairs got that funding. Then there's a lot of funding in HUD-based programs. And what that means is you may be a nonprofit that provide resources for individuals. And so you could be the conduit or the mediator on the behalf of the individuals that you serve in your nonprofit to help them to go to these federal agencies to take advantage of some of the programs that, you have federal agencies like HUD. HUD is a government agency, but you have your local housing authorities. They implement a lot of the HUD programs. So especially if you know somebody that's on Section 8, Section 8 programs and veteran programs, they've all gotten additional funding. So the thing is for you to go do your due diligence. So if you are a nonprofit, this is an opportune time for you to fulfill a need, to help those in the communities that are hurting, depending on the purpose of your nonprofit. There was also funding in here I saw something for youth programs. So I know a lot of nonprofit, you specialize in different youth programs. There's something in here to the Department of Health and Human Services. It's for runaway and homeless youth programs. They've been given $25 million for additional immediate assistance to current programs, providing critical services and housing for runaway and homeless youth. There's funding for resources for disability services program, including senior nutrition for senior citizens, home and community-based supportive services, family caregivers, and independent living. So it's so much funding that has been given to the federal agencies in this bill. If you're a nonprofit, this is an opportunity for you to do your research. So how would I recommend that you start your research? In our listing, we gave you the listing and we've given you the link to the website of the federal agency. We've also put in this listing websites for federal grant opportunities like grants.gov. Also websites for foundation grants. There's links in here for even Texas. Texas have a texas.gov grant website. So you want to check your state and see, kind of do a Google search to see, okay, if you may be in the state of Illinois, the state of Michigan, they may have a website for grants, for state grants for Michigan. So do or Illinois or Texas or whatever state that you may be in. So do your due diligence. So when I'm talking about your due diligence what's your first due diligence? You need to get the list. You need to get the list from the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic. And guess what? I'm not posting the list. You're going to have to request the list. A lot of you have requested the list as a result of the video from yesterday. But if you want to request this list, you need to visit our website at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. Hit the Get Started button. You're going to answer a few questions. If none of those questions relate to you, you can put a comment in the comment box and say, hey, can you email me the list? And guess what? We will email you the list. So if you're a nonprofit and if you're looking for things to do, to be creative and looking for funding for your nonprofit while you're sitting at home in quarantine, guess what? I got some work for you to do. So just request the list today, and we'll get it right over to you. And this is a listing of federal agencies that receive funding for community development due to COVID-19, and we know what that means. So there's a lot of more in this act. As I get more information, I'm going to come to you, because I believe that is my purpose and my calling in this season, to make sure that you are in the know, that you have the information that you need to succeed. And by all means, y'all, don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with anybody that you think would benefit from it. And again, our video from yesterday had a lot of detailed information in there for individuals. And another thing for individuals, if you're working for these large companies and public companies, and there's provision in there where these companies are required to give you paid time off if you have to be off due to the coronavirus. I won't go into detail into that, but there's provisions in there for that. But give me time to take it in and digest it and understand it a little bit more, and I'll come back on a different video for you. So at this time, I'm going to pause a little bit. There are quite a few of you on here, and you may have some questions. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to type your questions in the comment. Let's see what we have here. There's a question here said, I need to start a nonprofit. That's not a question. It's just a comment I see. Now we can help you set up your nonprofit. So if you will go to our website, and that comes under our tax consultation services, where we help you either set up your business as an LLC or a corporation or a partnership. We also help you set up your nonprofits. We offer business formation services that will help you get that nonprofit started. Okay, I see a lot of family members on here. Hey cousins. Hey Sanjaret. Hey Bethel. Hey Zenoria. All right, any more questions before I jump off? And let's see. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I don't want to be too long before you. But thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to share this video. And this is good information for self-employed individuals and nonprofits. Oh, I forgot to talk about the small businesses. Small businesses, reach out to the SBA, the Small Business Association. They have gotten tons of money, and they have relaxed some of the constraints to be able to qualify for the funding, be it through loans or through grants. So if you are a small business, request this list. I have a link in there to the Small Business Association. But if you don't get the list, Go and check out the SBA.gov website and get the information that you need. Ask questions, y'all. Ask questions. All right, I'm going to let you go back and enjoy your Saturday. God bless you. And I'll be back again as I get more information. But in the meantime, visit our website at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. Hit that get started button. Type your question in. We can type your question in the comment and share this information. Bye-bye.